Well, more than just that, we're talking about your mobile phones and your relationship this morning. You have to write this down. Our number, 08391333728. We're asking the question this morning, how often does a mobile phone interrupt quality time with that special someone in your life? For many of us, being interrupted or even distracted by a smartphone or a device is a way of life. Well, what about ruining relationships? Well, we're chatting to our resident relationship expert. Marlene Wasserman is in our studio. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us. Better known as Dr. Eve. She's talking about quality time in relationships. Before we hit the streets, just one question quickly. I mean, what are some of the psychological effects if we think of devices, specifically mobile phones, in a relationship?
It can be quite devastating. People feel distracted, they feel rejected, they feel ignored, if it is done in excess. And we will talk about, what does excess mean. It also obviously adds huge value to our lives. But the question we're talking about today, I think, is what does it do to our relationships? This is a common complaint, and then there is a standard saying, leave your devices outside of the bedroom, which people, don't do, because devices are not just for interacting, and we'll talk about that, but it's also entertainment centers, it's our news centers, it's a place that we really live. So does it interfere? Absolutely, absolutely does interfere. And they have to be managed.
It has to be managed. Well, that is what Doctor is saying this morning. We want to know from you. I mean, we hit the streets. Do you mind your partner using their phone during quality time?
Yes, definitely I do mind if they're on the phone and we're spending quality time together, because that means that he's not paying full attention to me. So that's a distraction which is totally off.
I just think when you have an opportunity to be together, it should be a priority.
If we're being intimate and they're busy on their phone, it just shows a lack of interest.
I would think that a disembodied voice on the phone is much less interesting than me that's there in person.
Well, I don't have a big issue with it. It's just that when she's with me, I'd prefer that her attention is fully with me.
All attention must be on me, because if she's spending time on the dinner, just take the phone off.
Oh, well, how much time does your partner spend on their phone? 08391333728. Or you, perhaps. Doctor immediately asked the question, how much is too much time on our phones?
It's when somebody feels that I'm no longer the most important or the one and only or the most special. And remember, we speak about that quite a lot on the show, of the importance of feeling those things when you're in an intimate relationship with somebody. So this is a very private device. And the moment you take your eyes off you and we put it onto the phone, I mean, how does that feel for you?
As it doesn't feel good. Can you please look at me, Doctor?
Exactly, which is why I don't have my phone in my hand.
100%.
It is about that, and we have a right to do that, and we should be doing that with our children, of course, as well.
Immediately, I think that when one is on Facebook or Twitter, you don't gain anything. You just become envious. Shouldn't we just leave it out completely?
So I have a thing about Facebook and Twitter. I want to separate them because I think that Facebook can be, and there is research to back that up, can be quite harmful to people because they are looking at that and they're seeing that I'm not living this cool life like somebody else is. It is real for the people who are posting, but they're posting it and there's almost a sense of narcissism. There's a sense of showing off, this is my lifestyle. So other people who are not living as cool, what they determine is not as cool, begin to feel inadequate. And then very much to the disadvantage of many people, not just teenagers, they really quantify their value by how many likes they get or how many shares that happen. And that, we know, has psychological damage to people. So this very action of taking my eye gazing away from you and looking at a device feels incredibly rejecting and painful.
People would argue, but isn't being on the phone the same as reading a book, listening to a podcast?
Yeah.
No?
So the difference between reading a book and my book, Cyber Infidelity, we will talk about because this is where I did all my research looking at mobile technology and devices and our behavior online, is that we on a phone, you're interacting with somebody.
Yes.
In a book, I'm reading and you can easily distract me and you feel safe because I'm reading something that there isn't somebody else who's
There's no one on the
distracting
other
me.
side.
Exactly. But the problem with the mobile device is that there is somebody else that's distracting you because it's very interactive.
Who are you
it's
on the
very
phone with?
Playful. Exactly. Who are you on the phone with? And we'll talk about the privacy aspect of that as well. And so it feels as if you've been taken away, and the jealousy element that we've spoken about before comes in as well very strongly. I feel jealous, I feel excluded, I want to be the one and only to this person. So it's a completely different activity, which is why we're drawn to devices, or especially to our mobiles, because there's an instant interactivity with somebody else who's going to be willing to talk or flirt or send an emoticon and let you know that you're okay. Your partner should be doing
these
that.
things, hey? 083-913-3728. We're talking about mobile phones in our relationships. This morning, you can ask questions and we'd love to answer it for you. Perhaps you have a comment. Remember, we are live when you call us on the show. I want to touch on later as well. Doctor, when is it okay to then use your phone? What if you work from home and you need to be on your phone?
Yeah, we need our phones all the time, but this is where the whole conversation that has to happen between every single couple around looking at what I call netiquette. And this is something that I refer to a lot in my book on cyber infidelity. Couples have to discuss this and they have to decide, okay, what is the boundary? And you as Ilana have to decide what is my personal boundary? When am I going to take responsibility for taking time on my phone? Because of course everybody, I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't be on our devices.
Doctor,
we love
I will
them.
get back to you on my phone, so
Yes.
stay with me, okay?
I will.
We have to quickly go to Katlego, but stay with us. We're going to talk. I want to listen what Doctor has to say. 083-913-3728. Mabue, over to you.